Is the financial system screwing you over? My name is Darius.
And I'm Carmen. What a juicy topic to dive into straight off the bat. So why don't we just go ahead and do that?
Well, let's talk about the financial system. The financial system is made up of banks, insurance companies, and stock exchange. Because they permit the exchange of funds to borrowers, lenders, and investors to fund projects so that they can make more money.
Yeah.
So
that's a nice little lesson, nice little ditty for you to know upfront what the financial institutions are backed by.
Right. So if
not backed by, comprised of.
So if we just take a look at just the borrowers, for example.
Okay.
The borrowers, are they being screwed over?
Are they?
I personally
cue the sound effect.
It depends. It depends on your
perspective.
Perspective.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
No, let's not say. Okay, you can say screwed over if you don't understand exactly what you're doing and you're working with loan sharks. You could be being screwed over. But at the end of the day, financial institutions are providing solutions to borrowers. Borrowers need money, and so the financial institutions are providing the solution to their need.
Right.
So are they being screwed over? No. However,
I think you can be potentially screwed over to the extent that you allow yourself to be screwed over.
Break that down a little bit.
For example, 25% interest on a credit card is being screwed over.
Outrageous.
Right. But the thing is, you agree to those terms. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So are you being screwed over if you agree to the terms? Mm-mm. No, because it's all in the writing. Now, you might need a microscope or an attorney to understand what you're actually signing over.
Totally, yeah. But
still, the opportunity for you to read that information and understand that you don't necessarily have to sign and agree to these specific terms. Mm-hmm. I think that's up to you.
I agree. So
I think what happens is we're not educated on the options that we have as it relates to financing, or as a borrower, we're not aware of the different opportunities we have to finance our different projects or our financial needs. So
why don't we just take a huge step back just for a moment before we talk about, are these financial institutions screwing us over? Because
it's the financial system.
Excuse me. The financial system, is it screwing us over? Because if we go all the way back to, you mentioned it, education. What I find that we run into all the time where people are soliciting questions and help as far as Wealth Nation is concerned.
There's no education.
There's no education out there. And we know that. And the only reason why we know this information is because we started to read books and started to listen to podcasts and go to seminars and webinars and learn as much as we possibly could, because this information wasn't readily at our fingertips.
Right.
And we both are college educated. And there was nothing in the college curriculum, although you have finance classes and things like that really hold your hand and help you understand what life is going to be like when you leave the financial, not the financial institution.
When you leave college.
When you leave college, exactly. So what I feel that happens is the system screwing you over? Yes and no. Yes, to your point, if you allow it, if you continue to be ignorant and not understand how this game works and how it should be played and how you need to use the system in your best interest as opposed to letting the system use you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could say that's the case. But then we have our investors and our creative financiers who understand how to use the system and are using the system as a special tool and in order for them to in order for them to further their goals.
Right. But I don't necessarily think it's the responsibility of the people that's providing the banks and the insurance companies to provide you with that education when you should be getting that education prior to.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I'm not saying they should be deploying people. No,
they get a bad rap, but this is the society that we live in. Mm-hmm. We live in a capitalistic society. And capitalism is
cause and effect.
This
is what we do.
So should they put the rules in big, bold, lime green letters on what you should be doing in order to be financially responsible?
Depends.
to a certain extent, yes. Yeah. But also no. Mm-hmm. So I think for the borrower, you're this is in the Bible. Borrowers are slave to the lenders. Yeah. So for the people that have control of the funds, what they're doing is they're providing you a service to provide you with funds because you don't necessarily have it, right?
Yeah, and going taking that point a step further, when we talk about the borrower is a slave to the lender, then what about our credit system, where we're rewarded to continue to be borrowers?
Well, we're incentivized so that we can continue making the interest payment, and
or not if you're paying your cards off every month.
Right, and I think just the financial system itself has us focusing on the wrong things. It has us focusing on the idea that having money means that you're wealthy, but we learn time and time again that money itself has no value. The value is in the contract that they have you sign, because that's what have you. That's the contract that have you working 9 to 5 to pay those bills down, or that expense down, paying interest.
Yeah, interest
is what they're really after, not necessarily the money. That's why they keep giving it to you, because they don't necessarily want it. That's their means of earning interest. So I think for the borrower is the low person on the totem pole, because of the fact when you borrow money, not only do you owe interest, but you also owe the principal in which that you borrow. So Absolutely. You start at below zero. You start negative and work your way up, and then have to pay interest on top of that to even get to zero.
Yeah, you're right. So let's do this. Comment below and let us know what you think as far as how this financial system is created, and is it screwing you over? What I think would behoove us to do is kind of talk a little bit more as far as education, how to make sure that the system isn't screwing you over, and how to make sure that you're using the system to further your financial goals.
Right.
Now, going back to we were talking about with education, if we know hands down that in our educational systems, we're not taught how to manage our finances.
No.
And knowing that information, now we have to take it upon ourselves, and we can't be dependent on anyone else to teach us this. We have to learn this information. And you can't even fall dependent on your financial advisors or whomever is helping you with your coin, because you need to understand how it works. Don't, again, rely on somebody to tell you what something should be. So first and foremost, what we want you all to do is empower yourself. Start reading books, start watching YouTube, which you're doing right now, and start understanding how this money game is played. When we think about borrowing, when you think about investing, you need to understand, or even lending. You need to understand the ins and outs of all of these things, because we always say you need to be in 2 businesses at the same time, whatever it is that provides you your money that you need to live off of, your income. And the second one is the money business. And that money business is you have to understand how the game's played.
Right.
So if you are let's say you are college educated, or even you're just out of high school, whatever the case may be, you need to understand how to start saving money, so that you can utilize those funds to then invest, which is going to bring you something called cash flow, more money in the door. So you know that you have money that's going to be utilized for your daily expenses, for the roof over your head, but then you also have an engine on the side called your savings account that's going to allow you to invest and do some pretty awesome things. That's going to help you give the leverage that you need so that you can start making some more money on the side, and you're not just dependent on one income.
Right. And for the most part, you can't be mad at the wolf for being a wolf if you're a sheep, right? Because the wolf is going to be a wolf.
Circle of life.
Yeah, the sheep isn't going to go to the wolf for advice. We can't go to the bank for advice on money when they're making money from us, right?
Because they'll say, oh, you can afford a $300,000 house.
Yeah. Or you want to go and get you a good education? I'll give you $40,000 for you to get that education, so you can be $40,000 in debt before you start filling out applications for your first job.
Knowing you need to go to community college or not college at all because you're not ready.
Right. Because that's the thing. Education and college is different. I think education is a very general
People
idea
use it
where you assume that you're going to be learning the tools that you need in order to be well equipped for society. But the only thing it does is give you the tools that you need to work a job,
to be dependent.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So understanding the education, and always try to figure out in what aspects of your life are you dependent. If you're dependent on your employer to pay you, you're in trouble. Meaning who knows what's going to happen with your employer tomorrow, 3 days from now. We also saw what happened with COVID. So many people lost their jobs. So if you're in the place of dependency right now, you need to figure out how to become independent.
Right.
So first and foremost, think about that. Educate yourself on finances, and then determine how can you you control more of your income. And you're going to be working on that time and time again. And also click on the link below and join the Wealth Nation. We would love to serve you and help you own your own lifestyle, like we always talk about, so that you can make sure you are doing what you need to do as far as putting yourself in the driver's seat of your own financial situation.
Right. Now, let's move on to the lenders and the investors. Yep. I think that the capitalistic society that we live in and this financial system is more geared towards the success of lenders and investors.
Totally.
But the lenders and investors do need borrowers in order for them to be successful.
Yeah, it's a
so
business.
Again, it's a circle of life. You eat or be eaten. You're either at the table or you're on the menu. There's no in between. So when it comes to lenders and investors, is the financial system screwing them over? No, it's really putting them in better positions to be more successful every single transaction that they make. And what we have to do is we have to have our eyes open to see that. Yeah. And I know for me personally, there's, depending on what wavelength you're tuned into, you're going to get the knowledge that you need, but will you be able to take action on the information that you receive? It's going to be hard to do that when you are in that box of the borrower, because you only look at life, or you only look at finances from one perspective. You have to also look at it from the perspective of the person providing you the finances that you are indebted to. Yeah. You know what I mean? So put yourself in the position of the lenders or the investors who are making the money, and then your ideas of this financial system will start to change, because everybody's not doing bad. Now, everybody's not doing good either.
That's a good point. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, looking at it from other perspectives or other lenses, because if you're in a relationship with someone, you typically are always thinking about your perspective, and you might think about the other's perspective from time to time. Be like, what am I doing to make that person feel this way? You need to do the same thing with your money. So what am I doing right now as the borrower, and how is the lender getting this money to give it to me in the first place? And how much money are they actually making from me? And how does this really make sense? How does this relationship make sense? So every step of the way, you should be questioning the relationships that you're in. Yeah. Right.
And go ahead.
And going back to, we're not faulting the banks. We're never faulting the banks. Contrary to what you believe, we just know how they work. So we're trying to duplicate how they work on our own scale, so that we can keep as much interest for ourselves as we possibly can.
Right. And when we look at the banks,
a little jelly.
Yeah,
we have jelly.
We have to understand that there's a balance. There's a balance to this game, because banks are just as big of borrowers as we are, because whose money does the bank use in order to provide the financing that they provide to you? Us. They borrow our money and then lend it back to us. So they're in two places at once. Meanwhile, we're heavy on the borrowing end, about 95%, and 5% on the investing end with our retirement accounts.
Oh Lord, don't get me started on
6%.
That one.
So basically what it goes back to is the fact that the financial system isn't necessarily rigged against us. We just aren't provided the necessary tools in order to understand the balance and act that we need to maintain to be successful in this particular financial system.
No, I'm with you. And we hope that you all are following along with us, because what we get all the time is, people are saying, well, what was me, the banks, or what was me, this and that. And no, it's not what was you. It's just, you need to take the time to understand all the relationships that you get into. We vet our significant others, but we never take the time to vet the banks, right? Or these credit cards that we're getting. We're just like, gimme.
Yeah, don't get mad at the wolf for being a wolf.
So we need I'm using this analogy in the simplistic way, because sometimes we overcomplicate this of just vetting everything, and vet every relationship that you're in.
That's a part of the system, though, to overcomplicate it, because if we overcomplicate it, we get overwhelmed, and the more simple we make it, the better it is for ourselves to kind of
go ahead, finish your thought.
The better it is for us to digest the information.
So I want to make sure that I think I heard what you said. Do you think that the industry overcomplicates things to make it more intimidating for the consumer?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Read your credit card contract. If you ever read it, read your credit card contract. Yeah. They say a whole bunch of stuff over and over again just to give it length, when they could have just said a paragraph and it'd be done. Okay. Like we create contracts in one paragraph for thousands of dollars. Yeah. But in the meantime, the banks, they have 13 pages. Or think about signing for a mortgage.
Oh man.
A contract for a mortgage.
Yeah.
That's 30 pages.
Yeah. It takes hours.
It takes hours to sign the pages, and you have to have.
And then you're at closing. They're like, "You almost done?" No, I'm only on page 2.
Yeah, and you have to have like 3 people in the room to tell you what each section of it means before you sign it, and you don't have time to really read it because you're so excited about getting the funds so you can get your new house.
Excited or intimidated.
Mm-hmm. So I think the financial system, they overcomplicate it a little bit so that you can be either fearful or you can be overwhelmed, because as soon as you become overwhelmed, you solicit the help of somebody else who 9 times out of 10 is the wolf in the first place giving you the money. Right?
Yeah, it's true. It is true. It's gosh, this is so juicy. I feel like we need like 12 videos to really tackle this topic, because it doesn't matter like which angle you come at. When we think about the borrower, again, understand what you're getting yourself into. Determine how much interest you are okay with giving. And if you're okay with giving thousands of dollars every single year to somebody who didn't really do much for the money besides just give you a piece of paper, then that's fine. But we're not judging you. We're just making sure that you know what's up. If you're a lender charging someone thousands of dollars every single year for passing a piece of paper along and transferring money, congratulations.
Yeah.
Because you're on the other side of things.
Yeah.
And again, just understanding how the banks work, like Darius said, very simple scenario. Let me hold your money. I'm going to give it back to you plus interest. And that's just how it's going to work.
So banks are borrowers and lenders. So we need to be doing the same thing. Don't just depend on the system, which is our government, our Social Security, our retirement accounts. Wolves too.
Yeah. And let's hit life insurance, right? Life insurance is what we talk about. That's our bread and butter. But also don't be ignorant to what's happening with life insurance.
Life insurance companies is no different than a bank.
Yeah, there's no different. And the thing is, you got to understand the products that are being offered to you, because some are not always in your best interest, where the insurance company is going to collect a ton of money from you and maybe have to pay the death benefit and hope that you don't outlive your contract.
Right.
So you have to understand all of these things and how it works. And that's why for us, it's always making sure that if you're getting life insurance, you know the type of life insurance that you need to be getting for yourself and how to leverage it in the best way possible so that you can become your own source of financing. So again, click on the link below if you're interested in that. So we're saying nobody is different. Banks, insurance companies, and any investment that you do, we were talking about stock exchange.
Because it's a part of the financial system.
Yeah, but being able to lend money, so forth. Well, when you think about the stock exchange, again, you have to think about, okay, if I'm investing X amount of capital, every single year into this specific company, what's my collateral? Anybody? There is none?
Well, I can't think of any right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's comment below. Let us know. What are we missing? When you invest in stocks, what is your collateral? Because if the stock market is doing this up and down, what's happening to your funds?
Yeah, you're not guaranteed. You really don't have any collateral.
Well, and I was kind of being a smartass when I was saying that, because these are things that we want to make sure that you understand, because we get sold these dreams of invest because you're going to get amazing returns, the best ever. It's the best it's ever been. But then we don't realize that if something were to change, how that is going to affect our capital. And we can't be okay with just letting money lose value, not only lose value, but just being lost.
Yeah, and that's another thing when it comes to our financial system, is the financial system screwing us over. We're the only ones that take risks when we
thank you take the risk. Yeah.
We're the only ones that take risks, because when we go to these annual events for the insurance company, they're not taking any risks with their finances.
They can't stay in business if they did.
98% of their the money that they invest, they make money from. 98%.
And there's some sort of collateral in place.
Of course.
So that's why with the point that I was making with us as consumers, we always get into these situations where we're like, oh, we didn't know, or we lost a ton of money. And we're here to tell you that losing a ton of money should never be an option. When you think about companies, billion-dollar companies, that they're not going to invest in something without understanding the relationship they're getting into and making sure they have collateral and some sort of backing for the capital that they're investing. Because if they're in business, they're not in business to lose money, and neither should you.
They lose money if they want to. They lose money strategically for
to
tax
cover
purposes.
their balance sheet. Yeah, exactly. There's a different way of losing money than how consumers do.
It's always balance.
Yeah,
that's one thing. If you can take one thing from this video is remember that there is always balance. There's always balance. Your banks, your insurance companies, they're taking the money that we have collectively pooled together, and then they're giving it back to us. And what we do is we then pay them that money back with interest. But we don't do the same thing with our funds. So the financial system is not rigged against us. The financial system isn't screwing us over.
It's rigged in their favor.
What we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to be screwed. So we're kind of screwing ourselves.
That's what I would say. We're double dutching and we can't ever get in.
Right.
Or we get in and we get tangled up with the hoops. With the jump ropes. Where we get involved in a system that we know nothing about, and then we complain that everyone else is taking advantage of us.
And we keep saying, oh, if I take more risk, then I'll have the possibility to
make more money.
I'll make more money.
It takes money to make money. Garbage.
No.
Garbage.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. And still, even one more time, money itself has no value. What has value is the contract that you create and the interest that you earn. What you should be focused on is getting assets, because whatever the currency it changes to, or if it changes, or inflation or whatever, your asset always goes up with inflation. Your dollar doesn't. So that should tell you right there how much value your dollar has. It doesn't have any value if it can't even keep up with inflation. It's just a promissory note. It's just a note, a promise to pay. IOU. Yeah, that's what your dollar is.
That's all it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure that you understand the whole entire money game, how it goes. So hopefully you found value in this video as far as understanding where you lie in this whole financial game. Are you feeling like you're being screwed, or do you feel like you're taking advantage of the tools that are in front of you? We hope that you're taking advantage of the tools that are in front of you. And if not, now is the time for you to start turning a new leaf.
Right, because we all have access to the same tools. We all have 24 hours in a day.
Yes, we do.
And how we use the time and the tools that we have really depends on us. So if you, like Carmen said, if you feel like you're being screwed over, it's because you're allowing yourself to be screwed.
Yep, you are not the victim here.
But what we want you to do is subscribe to our channel so you can get more videos just like this one, and check out our next video where we tell you a little bit about the insurance company and how you can use whole life insurance to borrow and then lend that money back to earn interest.
And don't forget to own your own lifestyle,
or someone else will.